This video is about immigration loans. Privately sponsored refugees sign a loan agreement with the Government of Canada, which covers the cost of their travel. There are a few exceptions. For example, refugees coming to Canada from Israel, they don't have loans because the government of Israel pays for their travel. And if a refugee books their own travel to Canada, then they won't have a loan. This is strongly discouraged and it's not the typical process. It happens very rarely and only if a refugee is in a country where the International Organization for Migration does not operate. So, for example, in Iran. IRCC works with the International Organization for Migration, or IOM, to arrange travel for sponsored refugees. The IOM organizes a pre departure orientation in most cases. They book flights, they help with exit permits, and they help at stopovers. The loan agreement is usually signed at the interview that a refugee has during their process with a Canadian migration officer. The agreement is between the principal applicant of the application and IRCC. Remember that if you're sponsoring a case with multiple linked applications, then there will be multiple principal applicants, meaning multiple loans. The maximum for a loan for each principal applicant is $15,000. And IRCC will automatically set up a repayment period that begins 1 year after they have arrived in Canada. So the repayment period starts when the sponsorship period ends. The loan is interest free, and the amount of time that a newcomer has to repay the loan depends on the size of the loan. The monthly payments are usually somewhere between $30 and $150. The loan includes the cost of the flight that the IOM books, an IOM service fee of $300 per person. In cases where refugees on their way to Canada need to stay in hotels or have local transportation arranged for them by the IOM, then that would also be included in their loan. And sometimes, if the Government of Canada had to help pay exit permit fees that refugee applicants were unable to pay themselves, that could be included in the loan as well. Here's an example of a loan. This is for a couple that traveled on a chartered flight in October 2023 from Pakistan to Toronto. The cost of the flight was just over $2,700 per person. The IOM fee was $300 per person, which means this couple has a travel loan of just over $6,000. Sometimes refugee newcomers have received a breakdown of their loan, which you see an example of here, and sometimes they don't get this. If sponsors want to repay the loan on behalf of the newcomers, they can do so anytime before the sponsorship period is over. ORA can contact the IRCC Collections Organization and get the details of the loan before they would otherwise be sent to the newcomer. We usually cannot get this information until account is not usually created until that month 6 mark. We can also send you instructions on how to repay the loan. We encourage sponsors to consider paying some or all of the loan on behalf of newcomers who are likely to face financial hardship when their sponsorship period is over. But in situations where newcomers are financially stable, we would instead suggest that you consider directing extra sponsorship funds that you have towards other applications. Thank you for watching this video on immigration loans.